Well, everybody, look who we have here. Faran Tahir. You may know him as Doctor Mercer from Dead Space. Mate, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very, very well, man. It's great to have you on the show. Now, we're just saying before we started recording here that you're a global superstar, mate. You are a jet setter. You know, one day you'll be in San Fran, the next you'll be in South Asia. Tell us about this lifestyle and how
I am
it's come to be.
I'm just trying to pay my bills. That's it. It all boils down to that. No,
Yeah.
as I was saying earlier, you know, this particular profession that I belong to, um, you really do need to develop a muscle which kind of helps you in being as untethered or unanchored as you possibly can be. Like
Mm.
you can get a call, next day, tomorrow, and it has happened to me, where you get a call and they go, "Well, can you be on a flight either tonight or by 6 o'clock in the morning?"
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
I guess I can do that.
Well, if you're going to throw
So,
me in private or business, sure. Yeah.
well, yeah, no, yeah. Believe me, I'm no fool.
Yeah. uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So your roots are from Pakistan, right? Is that where you grew up,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was born in the US.
Yeah.
My parents were studying then. And then the first, I would say until my teenage, I was in Pakistan, with the exception of a few years when I was in England. Um, and then I moved to the US when I was 17 by
Right.
myself. Yeah.
And what was that decision based out of? Were you nervous about that because you're still a young, not even a man at that point?
Yeah, I mean, it had more to do with the circumstances, where, so we had at that time, I'm dating myself now, but this is when the Soviet-Afghan war was happening.
Okay.
And Pakistan was kind of an integral part of it, because Afghanistan is a landlocked country. So all the supplies, everything goes through Pakistan, and that had an adverse effect on Pakistan. The crime went up, things went crazy. We got a dictatorship in. I was a young guy with a lot of hormones running around and not too much brain, so I was getting in trouble all the time.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what
So
is it
yeah,
like? Yeah.
it was better for me to leave rather than to stay.
Yeah. So what's the country like now? Because I know, and I'm basing my knowledge off the Australian cricket team, which is very interesting. Because I was watching the latest documentary, which follows
Yeah.
the cricket team, and they finally went back to Pakistan, I think last year or recently,
Yeah.
and Pakistan was so happy to have them there. You know, it was a really sort of great moment. I'm wondering,
Yeah.
is the country coming back to?
The problem with countries like Pakistan is
Mm,
that it's up and down, and because there are too many moving parts.
mm,
For example, I mean, when you talk about democracies work the best when the literacy rates are high. Because you understand what your rights are, how to exercise them, what is, all of that. Anyway,
mm.
Pakistan goes up and down. Right now, the economy is not doing so well, because of the exchange rate and dollars and all that.
Mm.
But so it's up and down, up and down, and up and down most of
Yeah,
the time.
right. Beautiful. So tell me, when did you start getting into acting, and when did you find this passion of it? Because I mean, you've been in games, theater, TV, movies, commercials. Like, what haven't you done, really?
The- yeah. Well, you know what I've not done, which is
Yeah.
so funny, is well, actually, no, I have done one, a sitcom.
There you go.
Yeah.
That just proves my
Yeah,
point. Yeah.
No, I
Well,
started. So yeah, so my story is that I am third generation in performing arts. That's what my parents did. That's what my grandparents did. So not that there was any pressure or anything, but it's just one of those things when, when in a household, that's a conversation that happens a lot. It becomes part of your DNA.
Yeah.
I didn't start off. In retrospect, I always wanted to be an actor. I have to say that. But when I was young, there was this battle between mind and heart. Mind wanted to do something that was logical, and heart wanted to do something that was beautiful. And the heart won out, in the end. So I got my training in it. I got my master's in it. I did my undergrad in it, my graduate work in it. Worked in repertory theaters for a long time. I try to keep my foot in all of it, as you mentioned. It gives me some variety as an actor or as an artist to kind of deal with that. That's kind of nice. And it also kind of gives me this ability to stretch myself. And also, this business is very fickle. So if you do one thing and you do it well enough, you will be offered that thing over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
Right. Which makes sense, because it's the same thing as, like, if Coke sells, put more Coke on the shelf. Right.
Yeah.
But eventually what happens is that the person who's drinking the Coke gets tired of that taste. So you want to change the taste. Right.
Yeah.
So as an actor, what I need to do is that I need to keep bringing stuff out that people haven't seen me do.
Yeah.
So that when this one particular kind of characters or whatever start to kind of go downhill, there's the other variety. So you kind of want to expand yourself. So that's what I've been doing. I mean, for example, I was telling you earlier, I'm going to go do actually, talking about theater, talking about cricket. I'm actually going to South Asia and Dubai to do a movie about a cricket personality.
Really?
Yeah.
What you can't say what personality?
Yeah. So it's a Pakistani bowler whose name was Shoaib Akhtar. Shoaib Akhtar was, right. I mean, he was one of the fastest bowlers, in history. So I'm going to go shoot his biopic, and I get to play his coach and his mentor.
Oh, that sounds great.
It'll be fun. Yeah.
Wow.
Fun.
Congrats on that, man.
And then I come back and then I do Macbeth.
This is so different. You're talking about being typecasted, and then you've got I don't know, man. Yeah. It's amazing. But so, were you familiar with this gaming world coming in? Because I know you did Call of Duty Black Ops, a brief role with that game.
Yeah, I to be honest, I was not. I did not know too much about the game, and when I was offered it, I went into a panic, trying to figure out what this game is all about.
Yeah.
I didn't play it, but I figured that I want to know the character, but that side of the participation as an audience is not what I need as an actor.
No,
yeah, that's the other side. I need to create a
real character.
That people can connect to, whether whether it's a negative connection or a positive connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I noticed compared to the original Dead Space game, with this one, I found that your character portrayal was a bit more nuanced, a bit more. There was more complexity to the character than in the original game. Was that something that you brought to the character? Was that a bit of direction from the guys at EA, a motive? How did you come up with this guy?
Yeah, look, I mean, a few things. I mean, the guy the actor who played Mercer before, Naveed, is a good friend of mine, and he did a great job.
So, he's great as well. Yeah, no taking away from him.
No, nothing. For me, it's something that I always think about a lot when I am approaching a character. It doesn't matter what medium I'm working in, is how to make, and especially when you're playing somebody bad, they're delicious roles because you
They
have
must be fun.
they're so fun. They're so fun because you can pretty much do anything you want to do. You know what I mean? So there's that beauty. But in order, and although this is a video game and all that, but the human factor has to be put in. You know, the nobody gets up in the morning, and I say this almost in every interview, that nobody gets up in the morning and goes, you know what? Aha! I'm going to be the most evil person in the world today. you know?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Right?
I think you're
I
right.
mean, unless you're totally bananas, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But my point is that when you start to fill in a character, you want to fill in what is the obvious arc of that character, because you have to go there for point A to point Z. That's one thing. But I think you also need to create a matrix for the character in which you create, you're not just a utility tool that's moving the story forward, but you're also expanding as the character in that world. Right? So I always try to look for those ways of expanding the character and trying to find ways that kind of keeps the character slightly a mystery to the audience, because especially the time that we live in right now, the minute we figure a character or somebody out, we go to our phones and we're texting, right? So as an actor, my job is to, when I feel that, they might have gotten enough of this, I need to turn the dial enough so that the audience also cocks its head and goes, oh, hold on, let me figure out what this new thing is all about. So you kind of create that kind of a path.
That's the perfect representation of what you did in this game. I feel like there was always this mystery about him, and I never felt like, he went too far with the role either. I feel like sometimes actors in video games may go a little bit too big in their performance. You know what I mean? As you said, you kept it real. Is that because you tried to relate to him in a human level?
Yeah, both. And the other thing, so absolutely, because I wanted to relate to him and I wanted to create a bridge between, look, we all have our dark sides and we all have our light sides. It's easier for us to accept our lighter shades of gray than our darker shades of gray. But you need to find that way to kind of to convey that person's, whatever. That's very important that you do that. And at the same time, you also want to make the character have a full life, in the game. And one of the things that I thought about a lot was that, especially with a video game, if you go too big, look, not everybody is going to be able to play that game in one day. Right?
Correct.
So they're going to keep on going back to it. They're going to keep on going back to it. They're going to keep on. It's not a film. Film, you see it, 2 hours, whatever, it's done. So you want to keep a delicate balance so that it doesn't become too much for the player to go, oh my God, now he's speaking again. So you want to you want to respect and honor the player also at the same time.
Yeah. So is this your did you do performance capture for this one and the whole get in the suit? And was that your first time doing that?
No, I did it for
you did do it for you did do it for COD. Yeah.
I did that, and I've done motion capture for films and stuff.
Yeah.
This is very different because in film that's a very different kind of a motion capture. Video games are very different, and I have such respect for the other actors who are in the game, because I am not a video game, actor as much.
No.
But man, these guys were so precise, with everything. You could just see it. They know it. They know how to play with it. They know how to use it for them. And I love that kind of a thing because it gives me not only am I, doing what I love to do, but it also then I go to school, right? I mean, I
Yeah,
watch
learning.
and learn from people. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And tell me, like, what's the differences? You said it is different from movies, games, motion capture.
Well,
What are the big differences? I'm
yeah.
curious.
Well, some of the differences is that because films, the action is not being guided by the audience. The way you do it is a little different because it's more presentational. When you're working with a video game,
Mhm.
it's it's interactive. So it kind of, you have to adjust yourself enough. You know,
Mhm.
Dimensions are different. The way you're working is different. When you're working for film, everything is being this way being done. So there's subtle differences which I can feel. They're not major, but they're adjustments. They're timing adjustments. There is placement adjustments. When you're holding a gun in your hand, it might not be a gun; it's a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you find that restricting being in that mocap suit, or do you find it freeing? Because I get a lot of actors on the show that say that they liken motion capture to theater in a way. It's very freeing. It's very,
I,
you know,
you really just stole the words out of my mouth, because I always say that, because I have a pretty big theater base. So
mm,
I'm always interested in actors who try to do all of these things, back and forth. And I've always found that theater actors, other genres also, but especially for science fiction and for video games, uh, can can actually bring something really unique. And I'll tell you why. First of all, because although you're doing motion capture, um, your voice becomes a very, very important part of the experience. And theater people do have that ability to actually use their vocal instrument a little bit more um, effectively than people who just do film and TV, because you're always speaking in the mic. Uh, you know,
I haven't thought about that,
so
but
so
you're
there's that.
completely right. It's not just the movements and the presence, it's the
No, no, no,
voice.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the voice. So there's that side. The other side is that, especially if you've done a lot of classical theater, you know, classical theater really lends itself well to science fiction and video games, and I'll tell you why.
Really?
Because the stakes are very high, always.
Mm.
See, you're always talking about, when you're doing theater, when doing Shakespeare, kingdoms are at risk. Or if you're doing Greek tragedies, gods are, in the house, right? So everything is like, civilizations can be destroyed because of it, or humanity can be erased. That kind of that scale is something that theater actors understand well. And on top of that, because when you go to theater, by turning on a light, you say it's a day, and by turning it off, you say it's a night, and by banging on a metal sheet, you say it's thunder. And it's the actor's job to make it almost visual for the audience,
Wow.
right?
Mm.
So when you talk about green screen and all of that, it's easier for theater actors when they go on to green screen, or when they go on to like motion capture and all that, to be able to visualize all that and convey it to the audience. At least
Mm.
that's my opinion.
Because you've already done it in a way, in a different way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Do you
And,
still?
and it's more ancient, like more
Yeah.
Barney Rubble kind of a way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Do you still? I'm curious. Do you still get nervous after all these years of working in the business in any aspect? Do you ever get nervous getting in front of a camera now, or do you thrive under pressure, or even on the
I
stage?
I love the pressure. I love that feeling of being able to step into somebody's shoes and make it believable, and have that pressure of for whatever amount of time to push everything that's happening in your life and in your soul and let it take a rest for a minute and assume this, this other person's life for a minute. I love that, and I love the pressure, and I love the audience out there. I never think of the audience as an enemy. They're always my friends. I always find them to be the final character in all of these experiences.
I love that. The
Especially in
final
theater.
character. Yeah.
The final character, exactly.
Nice way to put
it's
it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's true in video games. It's true in theater. I mean, the audience will come in, and they will come in with unspoken, unbeknownst to each other. They're strangers, but they bring in a collective sense of tragedy, a collective sense of comedy, and then you adjust. And I love that mystery of solving the audience a little bit.
What a great, yeah. It's amazing. Have you ever played when's the last time you reckon you played a game?
Nah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And the reason is very simple. The reason is that I have such an addictive personality that it will be, I have done this. When I play a game, I get obsessed. I could be like, there could be, I don't know, doing surgery on me, and my mind, my mind would be thinking about the game. So it's better that I kind of keep myself away from it.
I also wanted to know about the final scene, the sort of, I guess you could call it a death scene, but I still think he could be alive. We never see that, the eyes roll on the back of the head. We never see the body. That's the, how do you feel?
Look, I feel that, and I'm lumping this in with science fiction, right?
Yeah.
So I always feel that in science fiction and soap operas, unless you have seen the head come off the shoulders and flush down the toilet, and then
that's what I'm saying, man. It's true. It is possible. True. Yeah. It's
totally. Yeah.
So if they did do a sequel, remade the second game and brought you in, how do you think you'd approach the character then? Would you do something different with him? Would you?
I would go deeper with him, because I think now that this vision is out there, I think it gives me enough
fuel
to actually kind of like, dig a little deeper and see what more we can find in there. I would love to find some vulnerabilities in him more.
Yes.
I think vulnerabilities are a good reason for you to actually sometimes do really bad things. And if we go further, I would love to kind of like try to find those kind of layers and those kind of little nuances in there.
Now, I know I've got a lot of subscribers that love the Marvel films, and they might recognize you from, what kicked off the whole revolution of Marvel films, really, Iron Man back in 2008, I think it was, wasn't it? 2008.
2008, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges, Robert Downey, Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience. I mean, it was quite a long time ago now, but what do you remember from that?
It was one of the most memorable experiences, and one of the reasons being that, you talked about the cast and the director. That particular Iron Man was the flagship film for the Marvel universe, right? I mean, that was the strategy of Marvel to launch this one, and then here we are. So the beautiful thing about it was that it wasn't Downey's genre. right? I mean, he hadn't done a superhero movie. Jeff hadn't done a superhero movie. John hadn't done a superhero movie. So what that did was that it created a really wonderful collaborative environment. Everybody wanted to do, the best that they could, you know. So, every morning we would get together and talk about the scenes. The writers would be there. We could change things. We could play with them. We could suggest things. That was beautiful. And to be able to work with some of like people like Jeff Bridges, man, or even or Robert, I mean, these are people who are not just good. These are people who
yeah,
shine,
yeah.
So again, going back to that idea of being a student, I love doing that because it helps me at least attempt to bring my A game. If I have my A game, it'll probably come. But
yeah, I, and also I've been watching Jeff Bridges. You and him reunite, I guess, in the Old Man. I'm only a few episodes in. It's a great little show as well.
It is. Unfortunately, you won't find me too much in there, and I'll tell you
Oh,
why.
really?
I'll tell you because originally my character was introduced in episode 3, and then after 6, his storyline got really big, all right? But unfortunately what happened was that we were shooting it and Jeff Bridges was diagnosed with lymphoma.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, he's totally fine and he's like recovered and everything.
Yeah.
So
right.
That happened and COVID hit at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So in order to finish the season, they cut it short from, I think, 13 to 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what you see on TV right now is a very condensed version of the original season that we were trying to shoot.
Oh, damn. That sucks.
So,
man,
yeah.
COVID really threw a lot out, didn't it?
Yeah. So maybe next season we'll pick it up. Who knows?
Yeah. So of all the TV series, you've been in Lost and all the movies you've been in, what would you say was there a pivotal moment in your career? Was there a pivotal role that you feel like took you to the next level, or that?
Yeah, look, I look at my work as more as the body of work rather than one particular character or one particular opportunity. I think sometimes people ask me, what was the favorite character that you played? Right? I mean, that's and my usual answer is the last one that I did. And the reason I say that is because if I didn't put everything, whether it was good, bad, or ugly, or completely a failure, if in that moment, if I didn't give it everything that I had, then I did a disservice to the character, right? So I have to make it my favorite, the last one that I did.
Yeah, I get it.
Right?
I get it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, it's been interesting. I mean, it's been a a ride.
And yeah, I can imagine. And what is there a particular role or someone in particular that you'd love to work with in the future? Do you have goals that you like to set? Is there?
Yeah. So I mean, like some of my goals, like at this age, I really wanted
This age, 30.
No. Well, yeah, this age. Well, yes, 30, but this age. At every age, like I had a decade plan that I wanted to do Othello. I wanted to do on stage. I wanted to do Othello, Richard III, and Macbeth, right? So I got to do Othello and Richard III in this decade, and now Macbeth I'll do this year. So those plans, they go on. There's some wonderful actors that I would love to work with. I think Meryl Streep is one in a I
One in
was
a
going to say
million,
one in a
yeah.
million, that's too little. One in a generation, that's too little. I mean, but there's some people like that. There are people like Kate Blanchett, I think, is a wonderful actress. So there's some people that I would love to, again, because when you lock eyes with someone, it makes you bring your A game. So if you're working with better people, good people, it'll hopefully elevate your craft and your work.
And you've worked with so many different actors, whether they're, big time Hollywood actors or, smaller up and coming actors. Is there a difference that you can tell when you're locking eyes with, a big A-list actor? Do they have a different feeling about them in terms of on the screen? Do you feel that presence, or do they just feel
Yeah. I
they
mean,
do?
if some you work with and all you see in their eyes is their ego, but we won't talk about
Well, yeah, there's also that side to it,
There-
isn't there?
there's,
Yeah.
but I think there are people who have gotten to a certain place because they had something. You know what I mean? I mean, usually what happens is that if you don't have the talent after the first, second, or third time, people will realize that, you know what, let's move on, right? But the people who get to a certain place have something to offer, and and yes, when you lock eyes with somebody who's been around, who has, you can feel it. You can feel an energy. There's
Yeah.
an energy between people that you can feel. I mean, it's the same thing that happens. You walk down the street and there's certain people you want to be friends with, and other people you couldn't care less about. Uh, because there's an energy there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Any advice, Faran, for any upcoming actors or any sort of creative field? Because I know you've had such an illustrious long career with many ups and downs, as you said. But what would be your advice to
my
give to?
advice is always dream big, but don't shy away from the amount of work it takes to make that dream come true. Otherwise it's just a dream. And the other thing that I always try to keep reminding myself of is that take your successes with grace and humility, and take your failures or your defeats with grace and bravery. Right? And the last thing I'll say, and this is for the actors, that we know how difficult this business is and the amount of rejection and all of that comes with it. Just remember that whether you get a role or you don't get a role, the only thing they can accept or reject is what they saw of you. They can't reject all of you.
I like that.
Or accept all of you, right? So be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself is all.
No, that's great advice. Yeah, it is tough business. With all that rejection, as you said, it's not many professions. You get hired and fired within a couple of weeks, and
I was
you got to
talking to my brother.
continually get jobs.
Exactly. I was talking to my brother. Like, I can't understand that I have gone to maybe 4 interviews in my life, or 5, and got a job, and then you go to an interview, or you have like that situation every month. So yeah.
I guess you just get used to it, don't you? Yeah.
You do. I mean, look. I mean, the thing is that my father said something to me a long time ago when I was becoming an actor, and he said, just remember that failure and success in this business both can ruin you if you're not grounded. And I love that advice, and it's true, because you get 3 good reviews, you get like some people noticing you, and all of a sudden you think you can walk on water, and then you get 3 bad reviews, and people heckle you.
You feel like a piece of shit. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Is there anything you wanted to say to the Dead Space fans, or the Call of Duty fans, or just fans of you in general today?
I would say please enjoy the game. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I hope you guys have a lot of fun playing it. If you guys are around, come join me on my social media and see all the other crazy things that I'm going to be doing in the coming future.
Yeah, where can we find you? Instagram and Twitter?
Twitter, I'm not that much on.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I'm on there, but it's just like I don't know how to say so much all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a full-time job.
It's a full-time job. I can't do it, man.
No.
I'm an actor. I need a script.
Yeah. But you're on Instagram more.
I am on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter. I'm
Behind
on
the scenes photos and all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Did you
All
get
of
any
that is
behind
there.
the scenes from Dead Space? Do you remember? Is there any behind the scenes of you in the suit?
I do, but I haven't put it on Insta yet, but I will.
You got to put it on. I want to see it. I really want to see it.
I will.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for today for being so generous with your time, mate. We really do appreciate it. Is there anything?
Thank you for having me.
Is there anything Dr. Mercer can say to Dan? Is there any way he can come alive and talk to Dan today as we wrap this up? I mean, you said you love the pressure, right?
I do love the pressure. What will he say to Dan? He will say to him, check for your dinner. There might be little surprises in your every bite. And you leave it as vague as that, right?
I hope he means herbs and spices, not poison.
Could be poison, could be dynamite. I don't know.
Thank you, man. We really do appreciate you taking the time, man. Have a great
thank you for
day,
having
and
me.
I look forward to
Thank
talking to you soon, mate. Take care. Bye.